Morning folks, I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School, and in this morning's segment of Materia Medica we're going to talk about the cattail. And the cattail was really basically a pharmacopoeia for native peoples as well as American colonists because it had building materials, it had edible food, and it also had medicinal value. And the medicinal value is what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to start with the top of the plant and move down because there are things that we can do with different parts of the plant. And the first thing we want to look at is we want to look at this cattail itself and talk a little bit about that. Now the cattail itself, once it has turned brown like this, can be broken open and you'll have a fluffy material on the inside. And lots of people use this for a tinder additive or a flash tinder for bird nests and things like that. But this also is a very absorbent gauze type material that can be wrapped inside of a bandage to be placed over a wound that will help absorb fluids and blood. It can also be mixed with pine sap right out of a pine tree where the tree is wounded, and we'll talk more about pine later on in this series. It can be mixed as a binding agent with that pine sap and used to pack a cavity that you've lost or a broken tooth in an emergency until you can get out and see a dentist. And cattail fluff is used for binding material in everything from clay pots to pine pitch. And it can also be used with raw pine sap as a binding agent for a temporary filling. Now if we pull this cattail out of the ground or out of the water, we can also use the jelly substance that's inside the stalk, between the leaves and the stalk. And as you peel down and get closer and closer to new leaves or to newer areas of the stalk, you're going to feel a slime on that stalk. And the more you peel these leaves back, the more you're going to see that and the more you're going to feel it. So you just peel back to the stalk and you can see this leaf is just loaded with it. I don't know if you can see the shine on that leaf or not. Okay, that material, that jelly, is both antiseptic and anesthetic. So it can be used on burns, it can be used on wounds. This leaf itself could be used as a temporary dressing over a wound, just like this, and wrapped around and then tied off. And that would work very well as a dressing because it would both take away some of the pain and have antiseptic properties as well on something like your finger. But you can wipe this material off of here and you can use it on everything from sunburns to reduce that pain. It doesn't really have any anti-inflammatories in it, but it will reduce the pain because it's an anesthetic, a local type anesthetic, and it is antiseptic in nature. So that is a very good medicinal portion of this plant. Now you can take the root stock of this plant, if you pull it up and you get all of the big root ball, which you really have to get out in the water to get that. And that part of the plant is full of starch. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense that we use flour as part of a home remedy for a poultice. And when you pound down the root stock of a cattail, you can extract starches from that to make flour. So in the same way flour works as a poultice, you can pound the root stock of the cattail and you can use that pounded and pulverized material as a poultice to pack on top of a wound as well. That will give you, again, the antiseptic properties, the anesthetic properties, and will also be somewhat drawing to draw out infections or take care of boils, stingers, spider bites, all those types of things where you've got some type of envenomation. It's also very, very good as a poultice for. So there's a lot of good medicine on the fly that's accessible fairly quick in the cattail, which makes it an ideal plant for this series. Okay guys, well I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. I appreciate you joining me for this series today in our segment on cattail in Materia Medica. I appreciate your views, I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends, and I'll be back with another video in this series as soon as I can. Thanks guys.